Okay, shall start now. Very fast. Today is already 1st of November. Okay, let me start the session. A very good morning. Let us start the session for today. Warm welcome to our book masters, Brother Huang, Hualien Dharma team, and brothers and sisters around the globe to Saturday Hualien Dharma talk. Okay, today I would like to share a short accepted master speech, creating blessings for society, inspiring more to join. The dust of life keeps piling up, and what we call suffering is the true essence of the Buddha's teaching. We are blessed with the abilities gathered together in Siji. Among kind-hearted people, we share the same aspiration. There are many Siji members wherever help is needed. News spread clearly and swiftly. Wherever there is suffering, there are more chances to save lives. May we continue to create blessings for all beings and keep spreading the message, inspiring more to join. In a tug of war between good and evil, let us be assured that goodness prevails among people. For when everyone turns towards goodness, the world will truly be a place of peace and fulfillment. Grateful to Master's teaching. Now let us send our sincere prayers into the 10 directions. May the Sangha land be free from disaster and peace prevails in the world. Let us sing the prayer song with sincere piousness.
In my heart, I feel deep gratefulness. All my heart is filled with sincere prayer. From all corners of the world, let us join our hearts and pray for a world of harmony and peace. In my heart, I feel deep gratefulness. May all the Buddhas hear my prayer. All united with one heart, let us end our hate with love. May there be no suffering hereafter.
May all minds be purified. May there be peace in the community. May there be no disasters in this world. Now let us pray together for universal love and blessings. With Loving respect, gratitude, and confidence, let us wish every person in our lives a healthy body, an enlightened mind, and a total fulfillment of universal love. Now, let us expand this consciousness to include every person in the world, every being in the universe. Let our unified love make this wonderful world even better. Let us all immerse ourselves in the joyful embrace of universal love. Before we hear the wonderful sharing, let us invite our masters to lead us in paying homage to the triple gems. Let us pay our respects for these teachings and explanations to the Buddha and Master Ching by making three sincere bows. Please rise, palms together. First bow, second bow, third bow, and a bow to our beloved Abode Master who could join us today. Danton. Okay, today we have three sharers. Brother Joe will be sharing on the Dharma insights, and we have Sister Sharon Tan will be sharing on the footprints in 1V1 in Lumbini. And the next is Sister Huey, who will be sharing Ask Me Anything. Yeah. Okay, before that, we'll um, listen to the uh, weekly summary. Sister Suchin have prepared the summary. She's not available today, so I will read on behalf. Okay, last week, Brother Joe Huang share on the Dharma insights. Brother Joe reflects on share, a word beyond the talk. It's moments joined together, not one voice on a walk. We share not just stories but time and space together, creating shared history in our simple Saturday way. The Sutra of Infinite Meanings remind us learning never stands still. When teacher and student both open heart and will, the Buddha taught teaching not just lessons to receive, guiding others to awaken, to know, and to believe. Change is hard. We move only when we must. Yet Buddha stay with patience, earning people's trust. He calmed their hearts, showing how they could see that growth unfolds gently when lit with clarity. The Sutra of Infinite Meaning sets vision and goal. The Lotus Sutra shows the way to make it whole. Through action, not words, through lesson, true learning begins anew. Brother Joe reminds us the Buddha once sat among us too. Next, Brother Kevin Huang, recharge your body, mind, and spirit. The three keys to lifelong health. Dr. Huang reminds us we love to help yet forget self. Healing begins within physical, biochemical, emotional wealth. Three roots to clear toxin, trauma, and tangled thought. For a steady mind and body cannot be bought. Our nerves command all motor, sensory, and unseen flow. Sympathetic and calm parasympathetic keep lives rhyme in tow. Prolonged sitting dulls us. Moving keeps the brain awake. Brush your spine each morning for posture's gentle shake. Eat colors of nature, not from a factory line. Whole food, whole foods, enzymes, and probiotics, the body align. Stress divides in three, the part we can and can't control. Peace goes when we focus on what makes us whole. Breath 4 by 4 and let calmness reside. A smile takes less energy than sorrow inside. Tune your body like a piano before the song. Live, love, and matter, and your light stays strong. Next, we have Dr. Han Chun Yu, uh, Natural Probiotics. Our gut holds worlds unseen, a living inner land. Trillions of microbes dwell, each with us at hand. Unique at fingerprints, they guard, digest, and renew. They shape our mood, our mind, our body too. They break down fiber, make vitamins K and B, defend our cells, keep pathogens from running free. Most of our immune strength lives within the gut. When balance shifts, our health can sharply cut. The pain, dopamine and serotonin bloom in this terrain, guiding thought and feeling through a hidden brain. Diet, stress, and drugs can tip this fragile out. No, so nourish kindly what sustains both mind and heart. Probiotics lead, probiotics fit, prebiotics fit their song. Fermented foods can help them grow strong, lifted their peace, and remove finds its start. We are what we eat in body, mind, and heart. Yeah, 感恩 for listening, 感恩 to Sister Ching for the wonderful Dharma poem. Now, I would like to hand over to Sister Moon, our MC, to introduce the next girl. 感恩.
Thank you very much, Sister Lily, for that lovely reading. Good morning once again, brothers and sisters, and also to our sharers, Brother Joe, Sister Sharon Tan from Malaysia, and Sister Huey from Taiwan. Before we begin, may I kindly remind brothers and sisters tuning in to take a look at your camera and your microphone, and if you could, make a mindful note to switch off your microphone so that the sharer will not be distracted. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. Once again, this morning, Brother Joe will be on for the regular session now. Brother Joe, although your main focus is to share Dharma insights on the Sutra of Infinite Meanings, I cannot help but notice that oftentimes you have shared with us snippets of life, as you have mentioned earlier, what is happening in the abode and snippets of life with, with people that is in the abode near to Master, even Master herself. And inadvertently, what you have in a most natural way allow us to effectively share more information as to how people live, work, and think over in Taiwan, Hualien side. And you allow us to be drawn closer to our compatriots over to that side. And then it is not like you guys are, far and above us all the time. And I think this evolution is really so nice to close the gap between all of us, even though the distance is far, but the heart is so near. Thank you very much for this evolution. Brother Joe, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Sister Moon, and good morning, everybody. And thanks to Sister Lily for the reading. Yes, I think what I believe sharing is, as I mentioned last week, was that it's a sharing of our time, of our life, of our history. It's not just, stories to tell, but rather this time in history or this time in life, we are sharing a very common ground, right? We're sharing this particular November 1st together in this particular time slot. And I think it's not just about sharing a story, but it's sharing our seconds, our minutes of our lives. So, and I think that has the effect of bringing people together. And I believe that yesterday I went to the Jing Hall and I got a chance to meet our friends from Malaysia, brothers and sisters from Malaysia mostly. and they were at Jing Hall preparing for their certification. And very shortly, today is Saturday, tomorrow, Sunday, and the day after, Monday, Master will be going to the Jing Hall for their certification. And as many people would know, that we have been preparing for this in a way, in that we've been telling or pleading with Master that she gets some more exercise done because this is going to be the first trial. The first trial where she has to stand for about roughly 20 minutes for about 200 people that will be walking up in front of her, and Master will be certifying them and also giving them the blessings. And then, obviously in the past 2 weeks, we have been observing that the very first time 2 weeks ago, when Master was on stage and giving the Dharma talk, or the closing talk, it was for about 60 minutes. And last week, it was moved to 80 minutes. And we could see that, as Master is gaining stamina and gaining her strength and preparing for the journey for the year-end blessing around Taiwan, we knew that she's now gaining strength and gaining that much needed stamina to be able to endure through this month-long process. So Sunday and Monday will be the time where the first test comes, where Master would have to stand for 20 minutes, roughly, for the certification, and then give a talk. And then Monday, she would have to also do this, and then plus the final prayer. So, this is something that we are sort of having ourselves a little test before Master starts the journey. And at the same time, every time that I had a chance to stroll with Master, this is what I tell Master, that we're gonna have all these things coming up, right? We have 4 more, okay, 4 more. We have only just gone through 2 easy ones, and we're gonna have 4 more tougher ones before we depart. We leave Hualien. So it's not going to be easy. And the best thing that we could do is hope that Master continues her training in terms of the endurance, so that the last thing we want is for this trip to be cut short again due to whatever thing that could happen. All right, so that's something that we are hoping, and so just to connect with everybody, and let's hope tomorrow and the day after it will be very smooth, and we'll be able to see Master's condition as we go on. All right, so we're gonna move on to today's topic, which is coming back to the Sutra of Infinite Meanings. Last time we talked about how the Sutra of Infinite Meanings and the Wondrous Lotus Sutra is connected, and we also went through chapter 1 and chapter 2. And so I wanted to speed up a little bit because, after all, we want to head back to the Sutra of Infinite Meanings. And right now we're in Lotus Sutra. I wanted to say that at least for the first 10 chapters, in fact, for the most part in the Lotus Sutra, it's really, laying the ground. And I want us all to really get the hang of this, right? The Sutra of Infinite Meanings tells you the principles. We should do this, we should do that. We should be thinking about more people. We should be observing. We should be doing all these things. And the Lotus Sutra understands that doing all this is very difficult. So what the Buddha did was that the Buddha spent about 7 years not just preaching. I don't believe it takes this much time to talk, but rather it's really walking this path or laying the foundations on the path along together with everybody else. So while there's something, right, while the Buddha walked and laid the foundation with all the disciples together, and then there will be teaching, and then there will be some more action, and then there will be more teaching. So that's why it takes this much long, 7 years, to really go through the 28 chapters. So what I wanted to say is that while the Sutra of Infinite Meanings is the essence, the Lotus Sutra itself is actually the the actual embodiment of how to make it happen. So we talked about chapter 1, which is just setting the context. The context being that who is in the audience and why this is important. But I think chapter 1 is just a segue. It's just a connection between Sutra of Infinite Meanings and the Lotus Sutra. The more important teaching starts in chapter 2, which we talked about. And in chapter 2, it talks about skillful means. And I think this is starting to be a very important part because this is exactly what the Buddha was doing. So Buddha preaches what the Buddha teaches. And I think in chapter 2, this is exactly what the Buddha did. Buddha used skillful means and then talked about skillful means. And this is what I meant by Lotus Sutra is really walking the path. It's no longer just talking about, in terms of academia, in terms of academically, or in terms of conceptually, what can be done. This is actually Buddha doing something and then telling you, this is what I did and why I did this. So in chapter 2, essentially what the Buddha did was telling everybody, especially Sariputra, that the wisdom of the Buddha is infinitely profound. The teaching is profound and the wisdom is profound, that only the Buddha can understand and no one else. Not even Sariputra, the wisest. And if you put all of the Sariputra in the world together, you still wouldn't be able to understand. It is so difficult, but it still can be learned. It still can be understood, but you have to want it. And I think that was the key. So the Buddha used skillful means to allow Sariputra to want to learn, to want to be able to obtain this wisdom. Instead of backing down and saying, oh, if the Buddha said we cannot learn and we cannot understand, so we stop learning. Rather than that, Sariputra has this fighting will that says, well, we know it's difficult, but we want to. And so eventually the Buddha said, okay, you ask for it, you shall get it. I'm going to teach to you. And in a way, this is skillful means, because in a way that at first, all these disciples did not want to learn. They are satisfied with where they are. They're satisfied with what they have already understood. They felt that there's no need to continue on to learn this infinitely profound teaching. They are happy with where they are. They are already understanding all these teachings. They are practicing it. They're getting rid of their afflictions. And that's all that there is needed to be. They're fine. They're satisfied. And then Buddha tells them, no, there's more that you don't understand and probably will never understand. And then Shariputra was inspired. He said, okay, if there is more, then we will learn. We will not stand here thinking that we understood and learned everything. I want to learn more. And that's when the skillful means comes in, because all these learning, it focuses on the very one thing that's very important, which is you have got to want it. You have got to want to learn it. It's not going to be forced through other people telling you to do this. Buddha cannot force you to learn something unless you want to learn it, because it will not be yours. And therefore, skillful means allow this to happen and allow Sariputra to really want to learn it. And this is where one of the key aspects of the skillful means in chapter 2 is that Sariputra requested 3 times that the Buddha teach the teaching. And the Buddha stopped the first 2 times. The Buddha sort of rejected and finally yielded and say, okay, if you really want to learn, if you put your heart to it, I shall teach you this grand teaching that is the Lotus Sutra. Okay, so that's what chapter 2 is really talking about. Buddha used skillful means to inspire Sariputra to want to learn, and then tells you that all these things were skillful means so that more people are willing and wanting to learn. And that's chapter 2. So, as I mentioned, it's not just something that's conceptual. It's something that you could see Buddha put to work. And that's why it took so long, right? The Sutra of Infinite Meaning can be done in one sitting, but the Lotus Sutra takes 7 years. And the reason is because there is action. There are actions along with all the teachings. And I think that's very important, right? You live the teaching, you live the preaching. It's not just the concept, the words, but you actually have actions that comes with it. So in chapter 3, furthermore, um, the Buddha used the stories and parables to teach. And I think one of the most important part in chapter 3, I believe, is that part of the parable, which talks about the house being on fire and the children refuse to leave because they do not understand the danger of the fire and because they do not see the danger that is the fire, right? You don't see the fire, you're not afraid. Even if you see the fire, if you have never been burned before, you are not afraid. So many, many reasons for why children do not realize the danger, and many, many reasons why they refuse to leave. However it is, the elder or the father could not convince the children to leave, even though the elder knew that it's dangerous, that they must leave. So the father failed several times at trying to get the children to leave. But what did he do? He learns through observation and adapt. And I think that is the spirit of this parable. It's not about the quick thinking of the elder or the father that got the children out of the house. I really believe that the parable, the main teaching behind this parable, is that you're going to fail, but a failure is actually a success if you're able to learn through this failure. And the father did. The father learned through observation that the children are refusing to leave the burning house, not because they don't know, not because they're not afraid, but because they're preoccupied with their toys. And therefore, the father entice and inspire the children to leave on their own by setting these reward system on the outside. If you come out, you get to have your toys, new toys, your favorite toys. And that goes to show you, once again, this is a parable, but I believe that this accompanied with a lot of actions. Maybe the Buddha took all the disciples together to try to preach to a local village, and the local village do not understand. So what do you do to get them to understand? What do you do to get them to come to listen when they are so busy and when they might not want to learn? Well, you do something to allow them, to inspire them, to entice them, so that they have the opportunity to come out, to learn, and be willing on their own. And I think that's what chapter 3 really is. All these, remember, are teachings, and along with them are going to be accompanied by actions. Actions done by the Buddha and actions done by the disciples. Only with that are you going to have a 28 chapter length that requires 7 years of preaching. So I think that Master is exactly doing the exact same thing that the Buddha did 2,500 years ago in India. What Master did was that the teachings will always be accompanied by a slew of actions. And it's not even the teachings accompanied by the actions. It's actually the teachings pave the road, but we have to travel the road. We have to walk on the path, and then we figure out more about the road as we go on. And I think this is the most important part. You figure it out as you are going on. It's not just about paving the road itself, it's about walking the path and then figuring out what is the best way to do this. The more you jog, the more you know about your body, the more you know about this particular road, you know where the potholes are, you know where something is loose, you know something where something is more safe to run on, to jog on. And that's something you learn only when you're taking this path. If you didn't take this path, then you're not going to know this. You know that there's a path there, but you're not going to know the specifics. And I think that's what this chapter 3 parable is really about. It's not just about stories. It's really about how to react. Do you really observe? How are you adapting? How are you trying to get the people to learn on their own will? And this has been a very important part. In chapter 4, faith and understandings, right, once again, there is another parable of the lost son. And the same issue comes up, the same theme comes up. You will fail. Right, once again, in this parable of the lost son, the disciples represent themselves as the lost son. The father, or the Buddha, saw the son and once again tried to want the son to come back, right, to inherit all the wealth. But the lost son at first did not want to. The lost son tried to run away. The son tried to run away and refused, and even at one time fainted because you pushed too hard. The father pushed too hard. So the father observed and realized that this cannot be rushed. The father failed at first. The father realized that it's not going to be right away because the son is just not ready spiritually or mentally. So you need to have it step by step. So knowing the son, knowing the personality, the father took it step by step, slowly lead and guided the son to eventually want to inherit, want to become better. The becoming better part is not being forced upon the son. The son chose to. And I think even though the stories are very similar, and in fact, it's very similar because all these stories are supposed to be talking about the relationship between the Buddha and the disciple. But whatever the relationship is, all these stories talks about, first of all, there is going to be failure. You're not going to get what you want at the very beginning. At least most of the time, this isn't how things work. In the real world, you probably, things don't always turn out the way that we want it to. And that's usually the case. But what do we do when things don't go our way? We learn, we observe, and then we adapt. And if we cannot adapt, then we learn by following other people's steps. What did they do? How did they do it? And that's how we learn too. So all these things are talking about how, if you want to be a teacher, if you want to be a guiding teacher, how do you take it slow, take it step by step, and guide the students to understand? And also, this is teaching you as a student, how do you learn and adapt? If you don't know how to adapt, well, who do you find as an example? Somebody that you can copy from. And I think all of these things are something that we could learn as individuals, as a teacher or as a student. So that's chapter 4. Chapter 5, once again, is another parable. And this time is a parable of the medicinal herbs. And what that means is that all out in the forest, right? The rain comes down, and regardless of whether you're a big tree or a small plant, the rain comes down equally for all. However, the big tree obviously will absorb more water, and the small plants or the small, the small flowers or the blade of grass, they will just take whatever that's needed for them. The amount is very, very different, even though the rain itself spread around equally. to all the lives. And I think the parable of the medicinal herbs is something that the Buddha is telling his disciples, that when one day you are going to be teachers, you must understand that the students are very, very different. Some of them are like the big trees, where they will be able to absorb all the amount of water that you give them. And not just absorb for now, but they will absorb it and keep it. Keep it in their keeping. Hold it in, hold the water, retain the water. When necessary, they will spread out again to the grounds around them. So that's trees. But then there are also small plants, flowers. They are taking the water as they need, and they will not keep anything in reserve. So just like that, the students are different. The capacities are different, just like all the plants. But the Buddha spreads this just like the cloud. It will absorb all the water, and then they will spread this rain equally, regardless of the tree or the plants. And that's what this means, right? The teaching is non-discriminant. The teaching is going to benefit all. Do not think that the teaching only benefits the rich. The teaching doesn't only benefit the wise, the intelligent, the smart ones, or anybody. The teaching benefits everyone, all sentient beings, whether in any realm, in the heaven realm or in hell realm. This teaching is non-discriminant, and it's fair. It's there for you to take. If you want to learn it, you will take more. If you don't want to learn it, it will come in very slowly, if at all. So that's what it means. A big tree is like somebody who is very much willing to learn and very much motivated to learn. And that's what the big tree is. The rain comes down equally, fairly, and the big tree will absorb more. Whereas a small blade of grass will not be able to absorb so much, just like somebody who is resisting to learn or forced to learn. So that's what this parable is saying. So all these parables, chapter 3, talking about the burning house. Chapter 4 talks about the lost son. Chapter 5 talks about the parable of the medicinal herbs or the rain or the forest or the cloud. All these things are telling you, as a teacher, you need to have ways. You need to observe. It's not always going to work. It might fail, but it's okay. Learn and adapt, because everybody's different. You love everybody equally. The teaching is going to help them. However, it's up to everybody else, the recipient. Are they willing to receive? Are they willing to accept? And if they're not willing to receive and not willing to accept, how do you inspire them? How do you guide them to want to learn? That's what the first three chapters, the chapter 2, 3, 4 are talking about. So once again, coming back to the Sutra of Infinite Meanings. Why are these two sutras connected? Because Sutra of Infinite Meaning tells all the disciples that you are going to be the teacher. You are going to be needing, not just for yourself to become better self, but you have to guide others to be on that path too. But everybody is a little bit afraid. They've always cared for their own cultivation only. They've always cared for themselves spiritually only, because you cannot help other people cultivate, right? You tell them the principles, and if they want to do it, they do it. If they don't, they don't. You can't help them, but you can make sure that you guide yourself on the right path. And then the Buddha in the Sutra of Infinite Meaning tells them, not only do you have to get rid of your own afflictions, you have to get rid of other people's affliction. You have to guide them too. They become very shocked. The disciples thought about it. We've been doing this for myself, and it's already very difficult. You want me to do it for other people? That's very difficult, right? So in chapter 2, 3, and 4, the Buddha, using stories, telling stories, sharing techniques, and telling his students, that's what exactly the Buddha did for all of you because you are all different capacities. You all have different roots, yet all this teaching is non-discriminant. It is up to the role of the teacher to guide the students to be wanting to learn, to craving the learning, and to be willing to learn. And only then would it work. But do not fail. Do not worry about failure because that's part of what drives you forward. And that's the part that will make you better because you learn and you adapt. All right. So I really believe that the spirit of the Lotus Sutra it's just basically a hand-holding guide to tell you, holding hands, telling you how to be a teacher, how to learn, how to, how to rationalize it inside so that you do not lose steam, so that you do not lose the willingness that you have right now to guide other people on the path of learning as well. Okay, so that's the sharing for today. I think we are sort of hitting about the right time. And we'll stop here on chapter 5. Once again, I really cherish every moment to be able to share all this. And I think if you treat Lotus Sutra like a story, it's not just a storybook, but it's really a guidebook. And it's not just a guidebook either, right? It's actually it's almost like a diary where the Buddha jotted down and the student jotted down what they have learned from each other and what they have understood and how they have adapted along the way. And this works as a guidebook for all of us now because that's what we need to do in order for the teaching to perpetuate, to go into the future and sustain itself forever. We need to become the teachers. We are not just the students anymore. One day we will all become teachers, and one day all these teachings, all these practices will be very usable for us. All right, thank you, and have a wonderful weekend. Tomorrow and the day after, Master is going to Jingsi Hall, and it will be online. So welcome everybody online to share this very, very special moment for all those people that are going through the certification ceremony. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you very much, Brother Joe, for keeping us on track and reminding us through these lessons of the Lotus Sutra and Sim that each one of us at different times in our lives, we are both student and teacher. And therefore, when we realize this, we are able to help and guide people, future generations, younger people, and also to continue learning ourselves, to the very end. Yeah. All right. But before we move to our next speaker, can I invite everybody to switch on your camera so that we can take a group photo together? If it is convenient for you to switch it on. Sister Lily, are you taking the pictures?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ready? 1. Okay. Cảm ơn.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much also, Brother Joe. We move on to our next speaker, Sister Sharon Tan from Malaysia. Sister Sharon will be one of the very few privileged Tzu members who who have the affinity to serve in Lumbini, because I believe that this ability to be able to have all the conditions right to allow you to go there to serve like that is not for everybody. Sometimes due to health, sometimes due to family conditions. And Sister Sharon has this affinity and privilege, and she's happy to share with us this morning on this small part of her journey with Tzu. Right, Sister Sharon, over to you. Are you able to share the screen? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So can you hear me? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Okay, let me start with my tiny footprint with 1V1C in Lumbini. 1V1C is known as one village and one community. I get the privilege or the so-called ones, these special invitations from Sister Ching to, can I join? Can I go to Lumbini to offer my services? Or to put up my time there, at least maybe 3 weeks to 1 month. Okay. This is the landmark of Lumbini Mahaya Devi Temple. So before that, let me tell you about little bit about myself. Yeah, for those who don't know me, my name is Sharon, that's Sister Sharon, and my Dharma name is Huey. I was commissioning in year 2023, and this is the time that I see that about 254 commissioners in waiting will be commissioning within these 2 days, and I'm quite I'm not to say like that. I just recall back like what 2 years or 3 years back ago that what I have been in Hualien, and I can feel the excitement. Yeah, and congratulations to the 254 commissioner in waiting to be blessed by Master. Okay, back to my, I arrived in Lumbini somewhere 1st of July. I was supposed to go with one of the sister, but then something's popped up. Then I have to go alone, but then we are not allowed to travel alone, but I have to ask around and ask brothers and sisters who are going with me. And fortunately, I have one brother, Raymond, who can accompany me to Lumbini. Yeah, by the way, can you see my slide? And
Yes, we can.
thank you. And that the very first day when I arrived in Lumbini, it was, wow, I have to take a domestic flight. And the domestic flight was, like the Fokker friendship. They travel and Kong and waiting, and the timing is not punctual. They are not used to punctuality, I presume. And it was quite fun also to be there. And it's totally different. It's a different feel. No, from a fast-paced a country where you came from, and you go to a very serene place, is totally different. And I had to juggle with my bags. And when I reached Lumbini with brothers, I was like, wow, this is really nice place. And this is a Buddha land, and we have to put on what we are supposed to, put on, just like our Suji facial cream, and then you have to be patient and all that. So then within these few days, when I was in Lumbini, I was going to, it's just like a day-to-day work for me. When they ask me, what do you do in Lumbini? What volunteering work do you do? I say, wow, we have a lot of things to do. I say, what is 1V1C? Then I explain to them a little bit about what I know about 1V1C. Okay, so after a few days in Lumbini office, I get to know the 1V1C staff, and they are, to say, very friendly, and they are cooperative, but at times they can be forgetful, and we have to follow through with them or to remind them what are the things that they have to do. Okay, and then comes the in Lumbini Suji office, they also have activities that we do in KL Selangor. And they also have monthly charity day, and we also have chanting the Sutra Infinite Meaning. That is what we held in the month of lunar month 24th. There's the Sutra Infinite Meaning chanting at Mahaya Devi Temple. there's the chant during Master's lunar birthday. And that's the day that we do the chanting morning, and then afternoon morning chanting, then late morning went back to office, and the whole day is about Buddhist study. And this is the day where the staff quite enjoy. They say, oh, I don't have to work so much. This is what we learn about Buddhism. Every day on this day is a special day. So they get to learn Buddhist study. And then comes to the Monday Charity Day, I accompany them to one of the villages where we visited the care recipients, 3 households. And to be honest, the care recipients there compared to Malaysia are totally, I can say, very different. If I were to put it very bluntly, I would say, well, our care recipients in Malaysia are quite blessed compared to them. You can see when they are poor, they are really, really poor. But despite their hardship, they will still, we also encourage them to practice, to put aside a handful of rice. So despite the hardship, they still put aside the rice. And then when we go and visit them, and they will give us back the rice. And this rice, what we receive sometimes can be 17 kg, it can be 20 kg, we'll give it to charity. The charity will send it to another charity event. Okay. And then you can see that the rice that we give is not 10 kg, is 25 kg that will last them for 1 month. And the 25 kg of rice, for a family to feed, that is 2 for 6 children and 1 adult, 7, it can be easily finished with less than 1 month, I think so. And they don't have green veggie, they go with dal and salt. That's the most important staples for them. And I get the opportunity to know and create more affinity with staffs, volunteers, the care residents, and the locals. They are very friendly, I would say. And then a language barrier, I would say that there is not so much. If you know how to adapt to their environment, actions can speak louder than words. You can communicate with them. And if we really get stuck, we can always write it down, say that, or put it in a simple terms, what we want or what we want to transpire our message to them. Okay, and then there is also as we travel back to why I was in Lumbini doing 1B1C. Every day we were just like normal office workers. We will from our hotel, we will walk to office. There is about 8 minutes walk. Every day we are using the same road. That is opposite the Lumbini garden. And every day we pass by, we can, look in, and then we can feel the energy. And we can also feel that, it's so nice that every day we walk in, and then you have to be mindful of how you walk. The traffic is totally different. Not that they have two-way traffic and all that, but drivers are not that disciplined. They can use whatever means to get to their destination. So we have to be very careful. And then there's countdowns everywhere. So you have to be mindful of your steps. But it's also good that you can get to be more mindful as you walk. There's also like walking meditations. And then I get to go with the 1B1C staff to visit village. We go to Adi Hari, we go to Lasmipu, we go to Atijiwa, we go to Amang Ganjawa. Okay, but the 2 villages that we visited often is Lasmipu and Ahijari village. Okay, these are the 2 villages where we will conduct master telling story, Jinsa aphorisms, and sometimes I'm also not sometimes, and also Q&A of what they have learned for during the MTS and the GSA. Okay, before we reached the place, then we saw one village. We wanted to, you can see the picture down that we have, beside that there's a spinach, they grow spinach, and we wanted to take the roots, the baby spinach from the villages. We just asked our tutor to stop for a while. I think we want to go to this village, to this house. And we just stop and we just hop in, and they are friendly. They say, yes, what can I do for you, in their language, and their language. And one of them is, oh, we saw that this is a spinach that is very nice. So can we have the baby spinach with the roots, so that we can give it to other villages and they can also grow their own veggie. And then they give it some to the volunteers, and I also took some back to our cook and asked him to cook for us some soup lah, and the veggies taste quite nice lah. And also that you can see the last picture where I did a revisions. This is the time to do revisions. This is one of the village where they are willing to learn English, and we also conduct class 1 week, about 1 week, weekly. It's a weekly 4:30 to 5:30, sometimes 6 o'clock. It depends on the time the students come back from their school. And some are students, some are adults, where they want to learn English so that they can go to overseas out of Nepal to work and earn more, so that when they come back, they can have a better living. Okay. And let me move to the next one. That I thought about is the MTS and the GS and the English class, and what sometimes every morning when we go there, at least 1 week, 3 times, we go there, then sometimes the villagers will say, what has Tzu Chi contributed to their community? This and that. And then we say that, wow, we did contribute a lot, but it's just that sometimes they might have forget, or they just not to remember. They keep on asking, what can you give us? Beside this biscuit, other NGO that came, they give us mobile phone, they give us cash. Then we say, no, Tzu Chi, we will give you more than that, more valuable. That is, we teach you the Dharma. And we teach you how to be the Dharma, to become, and you will know when you see things at a different angle. Okay, so this is where the MTS, the GSA, and the English class comes in. Why we have the Masters Telling Stories sessions to them? It's just that when we tell them a story, if they have a Dharma, they will see things differently and they will act differently. Okay. So after each session, they will have when they get to know what is the story all about, they will share with us what resonates with them. Some of them they can get so excited that they share a lot. Some they just say that, this is what resonates with me. I believe karma. You can see that one of the picture, there's one woman with a clutch. She is very diligent. She believes in karma. She said that, yes, I believe in karma, because what goes around comes around. And I want to learn more. So every day without fear, she will come to attend class, despite her immobility. Yeah? And then we also have this Monthly Rice Bank program with the villagers. And this is something like quite unique to me. Whereas in KL, you will just send WhatsApp message, or this is how you get across a message. That when and when we will have this event and all that, you mark your attendance and then you come. And then you have arrange your own transport, or you do your own carpool. Whereas in Lumbini, it's different. before the program, we have to go there 1 or 2 hours earlier to go house to house visit to invite them to come out. That what time we are having the MTA session, we are having the rice program, so you can come. Yes, then most of the villagers during that time, I think early July, it was their paddy harvesting, and most of them are busy with their field work, so they will send their children over. And you can see that there's a lot of children over there bringing with them a container of rice, and they are very different, you see. You have to inform them, remind them, go house to house visit, and then they say they will come. And then they will send their children. But it's also good that they send their children over, and then the children also get to, we get to plant a little seed on the children so that when they grow up, at least they have a little Dharma with them. And so we also have this, at the same time, we also tell them that we are going to, before my time, this one earlier, they have this handicraft session that they do a meditation mat that's quite big and they enjoy doing it somehow. And then we wanted to go for the advanced class and to make a cup holster. Okay. And again, you still have to invite them, go house to house, just like in the olden days in Malaysia, where you want to, in villages, some like, it goes back to the 80s or 90s that if you want to do something, wedding dinner, you don't send invitation cards. You go house to house to invite so-and-so is getting married, you come to my house. The same goes like now in the 21st century in Lumbini. You still have to go house to house visit and tell them, oh, we are having this class, handicraft. If despite not only handicraft, we are having master's telling story session, remember to come, and also English and mathematics class. Then you can see the children after class, after their normal school hours, they will come and they will come in the group, and then we still have to go and remind them. They say, yeah, coming, but time is, their punctuality is a little bit lag lah. So, and you can see on that, the other side, on the left-hand side is where we have teacher saga. It's not easy to employ teacher part-time to go to village to teach. So we're so fortunate we have this teacher to teach. He comes on motorbike and can teach the children. And our pay, we pay to him is quite minimum. And the children also get to learn English, and the adults will join in. And you can see that there's a photo here. This one. This is in Lasmipu. We as usual, before any event, we will have a session, 1 or 2 sessions to remind the villagers that we are having this class and what Suji has done for you all, contribute to your community, and what you can contribute to your community, your village, and your economic life. You see, if you learn handicraft, you can earn your living. Instead of just doing your party field, it can be a side income for them. So, good. So I move it to the next one. Okay, this is what I tell you about the 1V1C, a one village, one community. And you can see the truck here. Before you have heard of Buddha grass. The very first time when I heard Buddha grass, I got very excited. I was wondering what is Buddha grass. Say what, the name is very scary, and I want to know more what is Buddha grass. And so Buddha grass is one of the grass that is very scarce in Lumbini, where you can find it only in those places like in Kapiwastu, the palace, or in Lumbini, there is the development trust. You cannot find it other place. And another name for the Buddha grass is Kusa grass. They call it Kusa grass. And you can see that, remember, see, when we have a section, before we go for this cup coaster handicraft, we need two materials to weave this cup coaster. There's one of it is Buddha grass, another one is moon grass. So they will harvest it, and one of the teachers said that we can get it from Lumbini, that's free of charge. And then we can also get the little baby to grow it so that you have the raw material to make the cup poster or the meditation mat. And then you know how we go, just like their transport is by tractors. In this tractor, they can fill up 20 over villages. And how do their meeting point is at Laksmipu, and we have to wait one another. Actually, we are supposed to go around 8 or 7:30. But then they are waiting for one another, and it dragged to 8:30 and then 11:30. By that time, the temperature is very hot. You can 35, at times it can go to 40. So this is how we go in trucks, and then we go by tuk-tuk. And then when we reach there, we walk a certain distance, and you can see that this is how they start to cut the grass. When they start to cut the grass, it's not, you see, it's very easy, but they use the knife and they just cut it, and they bundle it very nice. They bundle it just like the way how in the 2,500 years ago, before Buddha gained enlightenment, there is one Brahmin. He cuts the grass in 8 bundles, bundle it like this, and then as he saw Prince Siddhartha before he gained enlightenment. He saw Prince Siddhartha in a very dignified person, and he said that I give you this 8 bundle of grass so that you can meditate. And Prince Siddhartha accepted it and then put it on the place, the seat, and laid it very nicely, and sit it for about, I forgot how many days, and before Buddha gains enlightenment. And this is what the name comes out, the Kusa grass, because Kusa grass and layman terms is called Buddha grass. And you can see that this is where it got the name. And when the breeze blow, the Buddha grass, like dancing, is very nice. It's beautiful. It captured my heart. So when they cut it and they put it in bundle, and then we will put it, bundle it up, each of the villages, they will take it back home. And when it comes to the class, the advanced class, where we started somewhere on the 23rd, they will bring the materials, and Suchi will provide moon grass for them. Suchi provide everything except that they have to come themselves and they have to give us their time and effort to weave it, and then we will help them to sell it. This coastal grass is all 100% handmade. And okay, back to where after the harvesting of the Buddha grass, in Lumbini we don't have shade, we don't have many restaurants or bistro for you to have tea break, refreshment in the aircon room. In the Lumbini Development Trust, you can see that it's really bare. It's just a big garden. And fortunately, we found this one shade, a tree, and we set up our call it refreshment area there. And this is where we put our water, and we give them some samosa to eat. And you know how they share their drinks, one bottle share with everybody. They don't use cup. And this is how, you see, the culture is totally different. And you have to blend in with them, but then you don't share water with them. You don't share food with them because it's totally different. And this is how I learned to cut. It's not easy. And this is the end result of the cup coaster. And then you can see that this is we also have this class, handicraft, advanced class. You can see that it's also on the outside. Outside, yeah. It's under the mango tree. It's under mango tree. This one's really like back in 2,500 years ago. And I was also fortunate to be there to witness it. And you know what? Before they start with the handicraft, we have a background music for them. And it's none other than Sutra of Infinite Meaning chant for them to calm their mind so that they have a calm mind, they have a Dharma joy, and they can weave this Buddha grass with it's not easy. The Buddha grass is quite a little bit hard and sharp. And this is what they come up with the cup poster. You can see that it's a little bit not consistent on this one, but all in all, it's considered very good. It's very good. And we also have this care recipients. Here we can see that one of her leg was amputated because of sari goes into the shredding machine. And the shredding machine also cut off her leg. And she was very young, I think about 30 years, 30 plus. And she lost her leg, and she's one of our care recipients. And Suji provides her with the medical and the care. And on top of that, we also trying to give her the leg, the prosthesis, the leg. And then within these few months, hopefully she did her therapy diligently, and then the muscle, everything is intact, that she can fix the fake leg and she can go back to her normal life. And so the start of the advanced class, we can see there's something that you notice. This one, when we weave the cup poster, it's not so easy. You have to have a skill. And then you have to have a calm mind. That's why we have a Sutra Infinite Meaning, a chant play to calm their mind. And it's in Nepali language. And lastly, no doubt I contribute my time and effort in Lumbini. I also exploring Lumbini Garden and Kapilawas too. And the important things that I have learned so far is the personal transformations. This experience really allowed me to slow down and find my inner peace through introspections. You see, when you walk, you have to be mindful. So when I was back in Malaysia, I tend to walk, I have to be mindful. It's not that I'm looking up for countdown, I'm looking up for potholes. Because in the past, before I went to Lumbini, I was quite kanjiong. When I walk, I will not look down, I just walk straight. And I fall a few times. And I say, well, really, it's time for me to be diligent, to be mindful of how we walk. And this is a good thing that I have learned, to be mindful. And also the Suchi office is, when we go to these villages, it's just a nearby Suchi office, but then the road conditions is not as nice as Malaysia. So we find it that we have to go by tuk-tuk, and there's a lot of potholes here and there. And then you bring it back to Malaysia. We have a little bit pothole, we complain a lot, but there you have no ways to complain. You just have to live with it. And to be honest, like Susan said, I have never anticipated finding myself in Lumbini for such an extended stay. I was there to be exact for 26 days. And this is from daily surrounding. I have to be mindful from the daily surroundings to dietary customs, but it's also good that I learn, and everything requires a true adjustments. From Suchi works to your personal. You see, when you talk to them, they may not understand, but you still have to, like the Buddha behave, like, and then must have a Buddha mind, and you will see things from their perspective of the local, and you can get things done. And I was also happy that what I have work, so I can also transfer some of my knowledge, a little tiny knowledge to them, so that whatever that they have put up the reports or any outstanding matters that need to be done, they have put it in a spreadsheet. There's the title of the spreadsheet called action item. The action items have to be open and closed, and they will have to share it with their group either on a monthly or on a weekly. And it also reminds me that I have to check with them whether they're on track or not. So much for this. And yeah, before that, Kapila was too. It really I can feel the energy there when I was there exploring with one of the tour guides, and they say that, wow, you see, this is the place. I say, yeah, but I can't see much of it. They say, yeah, it has excavating, and the artifacts has been in the museum, but then they close it up. So better, they should leave it open. And then when we went to the eastern gate, where Prince Siddhartha left the palace, you can really feel the energy there. And this is where it captivated me. And I want to learn more about Buddhism. And you know what? Yesterday, I went to one of the Buddhist temple. I signed up for one of the course. I say I want to learn more. So this is another chapter of me, yeah? And this is all about my Lumbini trip and my little footprints in Lumbini. And I hope that others will also, if you have time and effort and the opportunity, please seize it. And don't. Time flies very fast, just like now. I went there in July, and now it's November, and I took 3 months to do my sharing. And thanks for the patience. And this is what I'd like to share with all of you, and thank you for your attention and time. Cảm ơn.
Thank you very much, Sister Sharon, for your sharing. I think, what you have shared with us here is very clearly a message that, we cannot go and impose our values and methods on another culture, on another way of life of people, right? The right way is to bring our messages and our values and to deliver it by weaving it into their local way of life, weaving it into to their local values and all that, for it to be sustainable and that they will actually receive it without resistance. Yeah. And I think Tzu Chi has really polished that delivery method to a very fine art, right? And I know of no other NGO that can do it in such a gentle and yet effective way. Thank you very much, Sister Sharon, for your sharing. And also a reminder that although we have finished our work life, right, we still have a lot of things to offer after our productive working life. Like Sister Sharon, we ask ourselves, what more can I do for society? And, participating in city activities is really so a wonderful way to live the rest of our lives. Thank you very much. Yeah. And now we move on to Sister Huey. I think Sister Huey is no newcomer to sharing and to, educating us on youthful programs, on the youth programs, especially on IYLP. IYLP is the International Youth, help me, Sister Huey.
Leadership program.
Leadership program. Okay, sorry about that senior moment. All right. And I think that you have spoken briefly about this on our previous platform before, but perhaps for new listeners and to refresh our memory, you could just briefly, right, go through it again and perhaps update us on what is the latest status on the program, and if any one of us here or any one of us in this area can and how can we participate, in this program. Thank you. Sister Huey, over to you.
Thank you so much, Sister, and also thank you, Sister Sharon, for your sharing. That gives me a good amount of inspiration to know what are the content that I should share with the rest of us in this room, and also acknowledging that we have been listening for already 1 hour. So feel free to ask your question. I'll rather have this a little bit more interactive, because the more you ask, the more we know how we can get the picture sorted, and then we can paste the puzzle as well. So a quick intro to myself. So for those who we just met for the first time, especially virtually, or maybe we cross paths in person, I'm Huey, originally from Malaysia, but currently I'm tuning in from the Ching abode, which apologize in advance just in case people walk past, suddenly we have people talking behind of me. I just want to apologize and let you know. Fast forward, in my last sharing, I talked about the IYLP, the International Youth Leadership Program, in which it was actually founded during the pandemic. And IYLP is just one of the programs that we have under TIA, in which TIA stands for the Tzu Chi International Youth Associations. I will share my screen very soon, but I just want to give you a quick recap. And a little bit about myself. I got to know Tzu Chi through the second cohort of IYLP, which to date, I just got to know Tzu Chi about 31 months, because I find that if I want to say in years, it's less than 3. So that sounds very, very small. But might as well I shared with you in months. So some of the Sipo joke with me and they say, why not you turn into days? That will make it more. Okay, forget about that. A quick update about what we have recently. One of the small little milestone that we achieved is to have our TIA conference overseas for the very first time. So I will play 2 videos and share with you. One from the preparation ends, and another one is actually from the takeaway of the participants who come by. So before I continue, I'm curious if anyone in this room, you have any question, really feel free to put in the chat box. I will answer them accordingly. Now I will share my screen. If you cannot hear, please let me know and I will do the troubleshooting.
乘搭交通工具要用到了一通卡，还有专属青年中心的特调香氛，都是新加坡团队为了参与者准备的小礼物。团队正紧锣密鼓的筹备，准备迎接即将到来的 TIA Conference。
We need to have a break after this one last chance.
为期3天的活动内容涵盖永续发展目标课程设计、讲师邀约、主持安排等。来自各地的筹备团队花了6个月的时间，共同完成这场国际性活动的准备。
Because we are communicating across so many different regions, it does get challenging, different time zones, different schedules, but I think we had the same goal in mind. We really wanted the TIA conference to be something a bit different, and it's nice to have the different cultural elements from different countries also. It feels much more diverse, and you can really feel the global scale of this.
筹备团队也邀约来自各地超过30个合作伙伴，其中包括联合国机构与多家非营利组织，充分展现各界对青年与永续议题的重视。
那最主要呢，这些组织他们在联合国永续发展目标当中也做得非常好，很多都在不同场合都认识自己，知道自己。所以我们在邀请的时候，很多都表示很愿意，不管是可以来到现场，有一些没有办法来到现场，也会用线上的方式一起来做支持。
作为首次承办的新加坡团队，在过程中面对了不少挑战，尤其在报名人数上，但团队展现出凝聚力，共同克服难关。
大家都认为说，与其去找人数来达到这个150，团队更想要达到的是找到真正对于这个课题非常感兴趣的年轻人。就是我们有一直在做调整，一直在做改变，然后其实我有感受到大家也都动起来。
一切准备就绪，约200位来自不同国家的青年展开为期3天的交流与对话，共同为永续发展贡献青年力量。大爱新闻张玉佳、王随喜，新加坡报道。
Okay, thank you so much for watching. I want to share a little bit, expand a little bit on the preparations that we have. So the committee for the conference is not only the Singaporean team, but actually shared by the youth from the Southeast Asia region. Oh, one second. Okay. And then, apart from Singapore, we also receive, apart from the youth, we also receive support from the 师姑师伯, who normally will fill up the 相机团队. But this time, it's very interesting. We have a partner called ProVeg. So what they do is very aligned with 慈济, which is promoting plant-rich diet or plant-based diet. So before the conference, we reach out to him and ask, do you want to sponsor us or do you want to contribute for one of the meals if you can? And believe it or not, we actually just asked for one meal and he decided to sponsor throughout the conference to make sure that all of us get to access plant-rich food, all vegans, very nutritious, very colorful, and it's very eye-opening to those who participate. Even until today, almost 2 months after the conference, people who are totally new to Tzu Chi will still remember the moment that, wow, this opened up my eye. I didn't know that it could be that creative. That was really nice. Another bonus to share with everyone in this room is the Deputy CEO of ProVeg International, Tim Polkowski. He's actually in his commissioner training too in the US. So before the TIA conference, he got this opportunity to come back to the Jingsi abode. So you may be able to find a video very soon from the Malaysian team, but that is also something that we realize that if we are doing a lot of outreach and we are the only one that knows what's going on, it's a little bit hard to explain to our 师姑师伯 and even our internal volunteers and stakeholders. But by bringing them back to the 净师 abode, or maybe bringing them to the closest Tzu Chi branch, that actually helps a lot. So fast forward, after team returned to the 净师 abode, last week, alongside with the Singapore Malaysia team back to the Jingsi abode, we brought in one of the Tzu Chi volunteers from Singapore who supported the clinical who support as a clinical psychologist for a kids out program, and also Asma from IGVA network, which is the humanitarian network that we have been engaging very much, especially in the Asia Pacific region and also MENA region. The second video that I want to share with everybody will bring us to the lens of the participants. Some of them come from different faiths, like Baha'i International, which is another faith-inspired movement that we work very closely. After that, I want to share with you a little bit on the projection of where we are heading later, because this is the past, then we talk about the now, then we will see later on. So are we pacing well? Are you okay?
Yes. Yes.
Awesome.
Hi, I want the world to be peaceful and where everyone can live together in harmony.
I want the world to be more selfless and kind.
To be more sustainable.
Kind and love. Full of peace and no war.
Do our ideals have to remain dreams? On the third day of the Tzu Chi International Youth Association Conference in Singapore, young people from around the world shared their projects and inspired one another with new ideas.
I think it's a very good exhibition and also very great experience, and I can learn so much about how to make an impact with the community, but with a very human-centered approach.
Participants worked with like-minded peers to explore how to turn their ideas into real actionable plans.
Youth generally lack a number of key resources, financial resources, networks, mentorship and support. Yeah, so I mean, it's really useful to have this space to sit down and actually talk, your ideas out to other people, to articulate your ideas and to further think about your ideas, but to exchange with others.
Representatives from international organizations such as the UN and the World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts provided feedback, giving participants the confidence to take the next step.
Before this conference, and I always thought that our actions were too small. But after this conference, we are more inspired because we know that actually with the right resources, mentors and experience, we can move our project forward and also inspire other people.
So this encouraged me to think what I've been thinking about, or to tell my friends those with ideas to implement it. Because if we didn't make action, how are we gonna do it, right?
看到很多的希望，
年轻人都很有心，他们充满抱负，永续传承就是要靠这样子的点点滴滴制造一个平台，我们就在后面做后盾。
In order to keep this momentum, the Generation Hope Goals Initiative was also launched, encouraging youth worldwide to turn their ideas into action and work together for a sustainable future. ITV reports.
Okay, thank you so much for watching the video with
สวัสดีครับ
me. And I want to share with you some of the updates. So in the video, you hear about the Generation Hope Goals. In case you're curious about what Generation Hope Goals stand for, it's a partnership program that we have with the UN divisions in the regional office on the climate solutions. And the team is based on the SDG under review. So every year, the UN during the high-level political forum will do a stock take or like a progress checking of the SDG that they have already decided. Usually is 4, and then plus 1, which is the partnership for the goal 17. So next year, the next HLPF will be focusing on the SDG 6, 7, 9, and 11. In short, it's water, energy, social innovation, and sustainable living or livable cities. Oh, thank you so much for your question, sister. And then for the Generation Hope Goals, we decided to, or we also pitched to the rest of the organizer that can we also do the launch during TIA conference, so that TIA conference will not just be a 3 days program, but it also encourage the participants to look forward in the next program or the next engagement they can possibly look at. So the Generation Hope Goals in the end received 360 plus applicants, and we shortlisted them to 25. Later on after this call and just a few hours later, we're going to have the pitching session for each and every one of them, and Tzu Ji will become one of the judge. So for Asia Pacific region, we have different sub-region. We have the Southeast Asia, Central Asia, South Asia, Pacific. So we have 5, and each 5 we selected top 5. So these top 25 will stand a chance, maybe one from per region, or maybe by the thematic. It depends on their performance later. But we will bring them to the UN and have the in-person competition or the pitching sessions. Okay, let me check what are the questions that I received here. Who decide which country will host the TIA conference? This is a very good one. Okay, so 2 years back, if I'm not mistaken, when Singapore had their 30th anniversary, CEO Ian actually made a trip to Singapore, but alongside he also visited a few other countries in Malaysia. As you know that Singapore is a very small island. You cross the bridge for like 10 minutes, you arrive Malaysia already. And he went also all the way to the North Kedah. So that time he just speak very softly to the CEO in Singapore and asked if he would be interested to host the first TIA conference. And he said yes. Why we want to do it in overseas and why not in Taiwan and why not any other country? So this is the 4th TIA conference that we have, but it's the first one outside. The first 3 was all in Taiwan. One reason for it is most of the counterparts or most of the partners, especially the UN partners, might not be able to fly into Taiwan, as Taiwan is not really a member state of the UN. So it's very hard for us to introduce our working partners, but meeting in a third country can help us bring everyone together, including our internal stakeholder, which is our Sikusibo. And then I hope I answered your question. Maybe to help you with a follow-up of the question is, are we going to have the next overseas TIA conference in Singapore, or we are going to pass the baton to any other country? Most likely, we want to be inspired like TIMA conference to have it at different location. But now it's still very early stage for us to decide or project that where will be the next one. Is it going to be 1 year once, or is it every 2 years? So
Sister Huey,
yes.
I think one of the reason also is that if you have it in different countries, then the youth, our Tzu Chi youth or the Tzu Ching of that country, they have a chance to participate and they and to actually experience the scale, you know, and all the activities, understanding all the activities that is. So it is the best way to actually inspire them in the different countries, right? Rather than just, let's say, giving a talk like this on the platform. But if it is held in that country for that year, and then all the youths realize and experience it personally, and they get more inspiration out of such an experience. Huh?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So this time for the preparation, the committee of the TIA conference is already shared with Malaysia, Philippines, not too much on Indonesia, but they came in as participants, as well as Thailand. Thailand did not really participate a lot this time, but mostly Malaysia and the Philippines because logistically it's more manageable. To be very practical, so far within the Southeast Asia region, Singapore has a center called the Humanistic Youth Center, in which I probably talked about it last time. It's a center fully catered for youth development related program. And we have a space to turn things happen, to organize conference. And during the preparation to move on to the next question, the challenges that we face by TIA is to add on the job scope on top of those who are already very occupied. So most of the staff member will need to adjust their priorities to cater to TIA conference, especially the program team and also the outreach of our partnership. Later on the date is actually the participants' engagement. Initially, we make a charge of $100 for this program because we find that if it's free program, people might take it for granted. And also 100 is not really a big amount to basically support the basic expenses like the food, even though it's already sponsored, but previously it wasn't in the plan. And then some of the fees for the speakers and some other expenses. So moving on to the next question is how could each country reach out to TIA so our volunteers could join? Wow, this is a good one. Really depends on which country you are from. So from Malaysia, from even in the US or Taiwan in general, TIA is already here all the time, but you might want to have a further conversation. I can leave Brother Sean's email address here, so you can always reach out to him to see what are the programs that you want to start being involved in. Because IYLB is just one of many that we have. We also have programs that's related to South Africa region, in which we work closely with Yachi Xuejie. It's called the South African Youth Leadership Program, very similar to IYLP, but the Africa version, not only in South Africa, but at the same time, we have members from Lesotho, Eswatini, Malawi, so on and so forth. And other than that, the Almana Hill program, in which the Chinese-speaking volunteers will have an online program and also meeting them in person later on in Turkey. Those were also part of the TIA program. So I totally recommend you to reach out. And then if let's say you find that the communication has some breakdown or you did not get a feedback or did not get a reply, feel free to reach out to me and I will do the follow-up for you. And I will also leave my email address here to help you out. Okay, I recognize we have only 4 minutes before closing. So do I want to pass the floor back to Sister?
No, one more question. One more question. You know, when Tzu Chi when Tzu Chi send our youth to participate in these programs, do we participate in all of their sectors, in all of the aspects of their development program, or Tzu Chi will focus only on certain sectors, you know, of the program?
Oh yes, thank you so much for that reminder. That makes I will share a little bit more on the projection. I forgot about that earlier. So not all the programs that we will go, as you know that if today we cater for the UN runs meeting almost every week. Maybe they have 1 month off throughout the year. And it's also not very practical for Tzu Chi to send delegates just throughout the year to focus on the program only, because most of the time the participants or the delegates are volunteer. So we still need to be very focused on where we are heading to and what we are doing. So moving forward, the next engagement that we have in the region is the Asia Pacific Forum on Sustainable Development, in which TIA conference serves as a nice kickstart and prepare for the next conference in the region 6 months ahead of time. Our focuses or the way we engage are very unique. We either go in to showcase our exhibition. So previously we showed the Jingsi furniture, or we have associated event. Associated event is the event that we're invited by the UN to collaborate or to collaborate or to co-organize. And then we have side events. Side events are the events that we design and we tell and we apply and say, we want to talk about this. We want to have this dialogue. We want to have this workshop. And one or two of the organization that we have already spoken are these one or two. And then lastly, generally as the participants you attend. So back to the thematic and back to the focus. Next year, or even starting from now, we are promoting that we are caring or we are focusing on these three areas. So faith is one, how we want to work with other faith organizations in advancing the sustainable development goals. So we go hand in hand a lot of times with this organization called Baha'i International Community. So this is one of the best replica that we not only work with them in the US, because the footprint in the US is already 12 years to 15 years, but we also work with them in the Asia Pacific region for 2 years already. And then the second organization that we were introduced by the Temasek Foundation is the Wahid Foundation. We call it the Tzu Chi Foundations in Indonesia, but Wahid Foundation has a vision to turn into Wahid International. So we had a huge potential to work with them. And then moving on, we also work with, on coming Monday, we are going to be in Doha. So we are working with the Sikh Human Rights Group. And then recently, we also work more deeply with World Visions in the Asia Pacific region. So this is something that we are going to move forward. Apart from faith community, there are philanthropic network that we are also working with. So philanthropic network like AVPA and ASEAN Venture Philanthropy Network. Under one of the pillar, one of their focuses is called faith and giving. So we also invite them as one of the speakers or to co-create with us. This would be one. Number two is food system, food security. So food is very big for Tzu Chi, especially promoting plant-based diet. So just now I mentioned about the organization called ProVeg International. So this time we are replicating the same model to see how we could actually influence the meal that we'll serve during the regional conference in Bangkok next year. And at the same time, having a dialogue to actually break the taboo or break the misunderstanding of vegan diet, vegetarian is not a fancy dinner or fancy meal. It should be as affordable as possible. So some country representative, they have their what's it called, like a national development plans, and part of it under food is how to make food sustainable and how people can access to nutritional food as low as $1 per day. So we spoke to the country minister and also invite his perspective. And at the same time, we also have a grassroots organization which received the grant from the EU to plant microgreens and bringing farm to the table. So we are not too sure because affinity still come into the picture. But having the food system, food security, making food sustainable, affordable is one that we want to put on. And then lastly, the third one that we have is the SDG 11. SDG 11, like what I mentioned earlier, sustainable living and also a livable city, this area. the dynamic of Malaysia is we are very advanced in the VNR or the VNR. VNR or VRR is actually the progress check-in, a voluntary national review or a voluntary local review. If it's local, it's going by mayor. If it's national, it's by the country SDG data center. So Malaysia is very hardworking, especially the Ministry of Housing and Local Development. They are into not just preparing Malaysia to share, but at the same time also become the reference and become the mentor to other neighboring countries. So under SDG 11 specifically, Malaysia and the Philippines will come up with a roadmap. So we want to tag along this wave and to share what are the best practices that Tzu Chi has already made, and we can share with them. For example, through care economy, how we turn crisis and how we transform their life. I can share with you one example that I learned from the Indonesia team, which is very eye-opening. So if you heard about the Muara Angke or the Hongxi case study, they mitigate these victims into the Great Love Village, right? So it's about 1,100 of them going to these flats, or they call rumah susun. Susun means arrange. Rumah is house. So it's like the arranged house. So you can count how many of them is actually there. So the observation they have is when they move in, how many motorcycles they have. Maybe it was only 3 throughout the whole village. But now after a few years, looks like almost everyone can afford a motorcycle. So you can tell with the influence or maybe with the support of the NGO like us and also some other local communities, their life transformed. So these are some of the dialogues that we will have, and we will not be the only organization that talk about our practice. So we also invite other organizations. For example, 2 days ago, we were at the Social Enterprise World Forum organized by Impact Hub Asia. Impact Hub Asia is also another partners that we have here in Taiwan with Tzu Chi. It's called 放大视野 or Fun Vision. So one of the speakers they have invited is from Thailand. It's called the Mei Fa Luang Foundations by the Royal Thai government. They have one project called the Doi Tong Development Project, very similar to what Tzu Chi does. They have exactly the same thing like the Jingsi, the Da'ai technology, but in a very fashionistic way. So they go for the runway, they go for the catwalk, and they have many queens in the UN. So this is something that we see, not only we share our conversation, we share our best practices, but at the same time, we also learn from similar or like-minded organizations on how we want to improve ourselves or how we can better tailor to the region's balance and interests. I hope I answer your question, Suku. Please feel free to
Yes,
ask further.
wonderful. I mean, from here we can see that with our youth like this, well, it's comforting, of course, for senior members like us to know that we have youths who are already prepared, right, and ready to move and to evolve, for the future into something, from our traditional activities in Tzu Chi, for example. We are adapting and evolving to meet future challenges and future way of life, and staying very global and staying very relevant in the face of these kind of new challenges, right? So, Sister Hui, we feel very hopeful after this session with you. Hopefully, you will be regular on this program, Sister Siu Ching, right? So that you can update us on what the young people are doing moving forward. Thank you very much. And we have our time up. We have come to the end of our program for today. Once again, thank you very much, everybody, brothers and sisters, for your company. May I invite you to stand and let us take 3 bows for the triple jam before we end the session. We would like to pay homage to the triple jam. We will take our first bow, our second bow, and our third bow, and a bow to our abode masters. Okay. Thank
so
you for
much.
wonderful mornings. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh,
Sister Sharon.
Sharon and all the wonderful sharers and all the brothers sisters that join us. See everyone next Saturday.
Yeah, see you next session.